Hey everybody, this is your brother, Narada, Michael Walden. Welcome to All In, my podcast where we break down music, life, and love, interviews and conversations. Let's get into it. Gonna shout your name out all over the world, yeah. Preston Glass. Gonna shout your name out all over the world. Preston, my brother Preston Glass, 'cause we're a perfect combination. Love plus you and me, we're a perfect combination. We couldn't ask for any better. We're a perfect combination. We fit to a T, a perfect combination, with all it takes to last forever. Oh yeah, together. Oh, Preston Glass. Oh, Preston Glass. My brother, my writer, my producer, Preston Glass. Love you, brother.
Love you too. That was fantastic. I hope Jim got that down on tape. That was version 2, #1 hit there.
Just want to make you feel our love for you. All the years that I've known you, all the time and love and service you've given, devotion you've given, has changed my life, changed the life of the world. So I'm very happy to have you on the show this morning.
Oh, thank you. And I feel the same about you. Appreciate everything you've done for me and my family and my career as well.
Thank you, brother.
Big foundation there.
Let's go back to how I first met you, how we first came on to knowing each other. I was working on a project for Stacey Lattisaw.
Yeah.
We had completed Let Me Be Your Angel and the Dynamite Jump to the Beat and all that. And we were looking for what was in the world that was to be great for a young artist like Stacey. And my partner, dancer, named Charles Chapman, brought me to your attention with a song called Spotlight. Shine Your Love on Me with a Spotlight on cassette. And it was a marvelous song. And we had to cut it. Had to meet you, and break the bread. And from there on, it's been beautiful adventure. So anything you want to say about that time in our lives?
Yeah, maybe cut back to a few years before that. I've always admired artists and artist producers. And you were somebody that was like a triple threat to me, great musician, drums, and great artist, but also great songwriter too. I loved all that stuff. I came more, even though after I got to know you, I got to know your initial history with John McLaughlin and
yes.
Even working with George and Martin. That's phenomenal.
Yes.
But I first came to know you myself from the I Don't Want Nobody Else to Dance With You, that phase. Mm-hmm. And then after that with Tonight I'm All Right and I Should Have Loved You, I was like, man, these records are great. And so I was studying them. I'm not going to age you, but I was a teenager, like listening hard,
Right.
And so you were always on my radar. And then I was fortunate to sign with Tom Bell of the Philly fame.
Yes.
He, of course, taught me a lot. But I was writing so many tunes, he could only do, a song here, a song there for the projects he was doing. So I was a little frustrated, like, oh man, I got to get these songs out here. Mm-hmm. So I started sending my music out, not to just a bunch of people, just really I remember sending tapes out to 3 producers that I loved their work.
Right.
And that was Quincy Jones,
yes,
Nile Rodgers, and as I used to say, Narada, Michael Walden. Now
right.
It's Narada.
Right.
But and of course, I'm so grateful that Charles Chapman heard the music and decided to play. And of course, the rest is history with Spotlight. But I just remember us hooking up on the phone, me saying if you need any more material, and you basically gave me an invitation to come down to San Francisco. I was in Seattle at the time,
Right.
and then we had a great meeting, initial meeting in person, hit it off, and then that was the beginning of a great love affair.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Hey, man, I want to, while you're talking about Tom Bell in that period, I have to stop you and pause you because Tom Bell is one of my great heroes. When I was in high school, there was a song that came out that was so powerful that it would stop time. I don't care what you were doing. When it came on, it would just stop time. And if you were in love, it would just make the love just boom in radiation out of your heart when you heard these changes by the gentleman who took you under the wing, the great Tom Bell. I mean, I have to pause you when you mention his name. He is just truly a genius. He
Yeah,
truly is a
what song
genius.
was that touched you? What song was that?
La 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 Means I Love You by the
Yeah.
Delphonics. And then of course, then later on it'd be like a lot of their stuff didn't blow your mind. But the power of La 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 Means I Love You,
Yeah,
which would stop time.
you know, it's funny how people from that era, they would say, I heard that song and I had to pull over.
Mm-hmm.
You'd always hear somebody say, I had to stop and pull over. I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
never understood why people had to stop and pull over.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think it was Regina Bell. She did a Philly tribute album. She said, I heard that song. She was talking about, I believe she was talking about Did Not Blow Your Mind, but she said, I had to pull over.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't drive, so I couldn't pull over. But
Right.
yeah, my heart pulled over when I heard
Yes.
Tom's
Yes.
music, Gamble Hub. But I was also influenced by people like Carole King, Neil Diamond, and then James Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the military, in the army. So we would travel a lot to different army bases. And from living a lot of different places, I got to be familiar with whatever that place was, their kind of music in that area. So sometimes we live in an area that played predominantly R&B. Then other times it'd be predominantly country
Mm-hmm.
or predominantly rock and roll or something. So I came to appreciate, I'm talking about age 4, age 5, right in there. But I was very impressionable. Music just was my passion. I was listening then, but then I felt a need. I think, God gave me a gift to want to create, being inspired by this other music I heard, but then I'd kind of infuse that into stuff that I would create.
I think that's your gift, Preston, that you can draw from the different sources. That's what makes you so powerful to me. And in your songwriting, that it's not just a formula thing. You have, like you said, you can draw from all those different sources of music, and you're familiar well with all those different forms of music, and it makes you powerful. That's why when you would give me a cassette to listen to, say, 5 songs, I would make sure I had to listen to all 5, because it could be the 5th song down. That could be like the mighty knockout blow from some pop rock type thing coming down called "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off," which we did for Jermaine Stewart.
Yeah, that was the last song on I remember. I still have the tape. I could have pulled it up for this interview, but the cassette had I think it was 8 songs. It was
8. Oh, I thought it was 5. Okay, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
but it was like 4 on each side, and then the last song was "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes."
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because I thought, this one's okay, I'll stick it on. But to your credit, you not only heard all the songs, but you said that's the one. And I was like, okay, whatever you. I trusted your instincts, and of course, the world knows that song now because you listen to all the songs.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always impressed with your versatility. That's what's so beautiful about your work, and why we take it all very seriously. In the ballad world, in the funk world, in the rock world, up came a guy named Prince. But to me, you were like the forerunner even before Prince, because you could do so many different things. You could play, you could write, and it was always unusual where you might come from, be it perfect combination, you know what I mean, or be it the block parties, whatever it might be. At that time in my life, I was always open to like, wow, where's this cat coming from? And then to the point where when Aretha Franklin would say to me on a phone call, she would say, well, you know, I might go out to a nightclub. I might go out to a nightclub and I might see a guy in the corner. He might look at me. I might look at him. It's kind of like a who's zooming who. He thinks he's got me, but then the fish jump off the hook. I'm like, what? The fish jump off the hook? I knew it. Get with you, help me write that song called Who's Zooming Who, because you're that broad to take a concept of who's zooming who. What is that? We had never heard it before, and make it for the people, for the world. So here I am again, thanking you for that kind of vibe.
That's the challenge, you know. Those experiences like that with Aretha, and I mean that who's zooming who. Nobody, I had never heard that expression before. Of course, Aretha being very creative. That helped me to see early on, especially when the song took off and did well, that having a unique title, you know, if you had a song called I Love You, I mean, it might be a great song, but initially, well, okay, the DJs they get a copy of it, they have to look at it. That if they see I Love You, or not only the DJ, but maybe I'm shopping it to a record company and the guy gets 800 songs a day, that's not going to make them go, oh, that's unique. Let me listen to that. But a title like We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, or that Who's Zooming Who experience taught me, come up with something unique. Even before you get to the music, the title should draw people in and make people want. Then the writing of the lyric is easier too. When you have a title that's really descriptive, the words just kind of flow out.
That's right. That's beautiful. I also want to thank you in public around the world at this time for the song "Freeway of Love." My song, "A Freeway of Love," that you inspired me to give Aretha. I would never thought that, Preston. I was always writing a zillion songs, but you were like so into helping. You heard my songs. You were like, well, what about that song for Aretha? I was like, what? I would have never thought that. And of course, it went on to be the massive hit for Aretha.
I still remember your demo, the sound of you on the passion you put, and you'd be like, dun, dun. You had a little different rhythm, but dun, dun, I was like, that would be great for Aretha. And fortunately, you said, yeah, let's try it out.
I love all that. I love all that.
It's great to have memories, you know, before we get too up there where it's not there. But I remember those days and those experiences. I remember a lot of tunes that you had that maybe you just forgot about. You remember a song called London Information?
Yes. I know that. I remember the title more than I can remember the song coming back to me, but I remember yeah,
I don't have it, but I remember the whole recording, the arrangement. I mean, you finished the song. I guess it didn't make the cut on the album, but I think you and Jeffrey might have wrote that. But whether I co-wrote it or whether you wrote it or somebody else, I'm just a fan. I still am just a fan of music. If I like it, I like it. One of my favorite songs, I have a playlist on Amazon of favorite jams, I call it. They're only about maybe 200. And one of them on there is a song called Dream Maker by Narada Michael Walden. That's my favorite song of yours. I don't know why it touches me every time I hear it. I know you dedicated it to your brother, Kevin.
Yes, I did, Preston. Because in the verse, I'm talking about taking a bus, and it's a bus ride, and you have, on a bus ride, you have time to reflect about your life. And if you're going through any sadness or a heartbreak, a bus ride can really bring it out of you. There's this scene in Breakfast at Tiffany's where this gentleman has to go back home and get on the bus as he leaves Audrey Hepburn. And that's a very tear-jerking scene. And then I also think about, like, you know, Paul Simon riding on the bus, playing games with the faces. You said the man with the gabardine suit is a spy. I said, be careful, his bow tie is really a camera. Oh, but that's all happening on a bus. This whole bus thing to me is kind of a place to kind of open your heart and open your mind.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's what
the
that is.
beauty of just songs, sometimes people like a song because a lot of other people like it. Oh man, it's a popular song. Uh, I seem to gravitate toward, just things. I don't care if nobody knows a song. That I love that. If it moves me.
Hmm. That's right. I have to also thank you for give me, give me, give me all night long. Give me, give me, give me, keep playing that love song, that love song. Give me, with Patty Austin, all night long. Give me, give me, give me, keep playing that love song. Very sweet, man. Very sweet.
Yeah, those were the days.
God bless, man. God bless. God bless, man. So, how's your family now? How's everybody doing now?
Everybody's doing fine. Me and G are still cooking, and I'd like to thank you for that because you were there when we first met at. It wasn't your studio, but it was at the record plant when you were producing Larry Graham, and Gina came to the studio to visit her sister, who is Larry's wife.
Yeah.
And now 40 years later, almost 40 years, yeah, still cooking, and we got grandkids, and I know joy of having young ones around, young kids.
Yes.
That's the beauty of your family, so that's a blessing.
Yes, brother. Yes, brother. So, what about? Let me ask a few questions to you here. You are a master of chord changes. Speak about chord changes, where that comes from, where we are in the music business now with chord changes, what's happening with music as far as chord changes. We have all this wisdom, and then you sometimes say, well, we have to kind of keep it simple. We know so much. We've come from so much, hearing so much from Motown and Tom Bell and Stevie and all that. But here we are in a world now. We gotta kind of simplify. Speak about anything you want to say about that.
Yeah, that's interesting subject.
Hmm.
I guess from the early years and listening to those people that I mentioned, like Carole King and
Yes.
Tom Bell, and the master Burt Bacharach, he's
Yes.
a chord change. But it's not just. I learned growing up that okay, you don't want to just have chord changes just to show. Look at this chord, listen to that chord. You want people to be able to sing it. You want people to be able to feel. I think chord changes what they do, along with the melody, but the chord changes take the listener places maybe they don't even know they're being taken to. Like um, you can have a melody like A B C D E F G H I, but that melody can be flavored and colored so many other beautiful ways than just triads. You can have that same melody over minor chords and
Hmm.
or diminished chords, or even the rhythm of the chords can do something. It could be A B C D E F G. You know about rhythm. You're the
Hmm.
master.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you taught me one thing. I don't know if you still use this word, sweet power.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I guess what that is the power, of course, being the rhythm or the drums or the groove, but the sweetness comes from the melody. And so I've always been attracted not only to listening to it, but when I'm creating to, you either sneak it in or, the public, they don't know what chord changes are. They just know what they like, what feels good. And so I kind of want to sneak it in. I know Stevie Wonder's, he's the master of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, a song like uh, "You Are the Sunshine of My Life," that the average Joe that plays that at a nightclub on a top 40 gig, they don't play the right chords.
Hmm. Yeah.
I know Stevie probably hears it and goes, "Oh,
Hmm.
that ain't what I play." But when the reason why that record moves a lot of people is because of those the half step stuff, background vocals in there. All that stuff is a color that moves people. So I've always been attracted to that.
Yes. Absolutely. 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 And then something else that I liked, you would bring the electric sitar for a session. which I also like the sound from. Maybe it could be like the Stylistics record. Early on, you might hear that kind of a sound, or Tom Bell, but then you loved it and would bring it into a session, which was always a cool sound.
Here's the interesting thing about, and it has Bay Area roots, believe it or not.
Oh, okay, I can see that. I can see that.
Because, well, of course, the Beatles use that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
George Harrison.
many people use it, but in pop records and R&B records, Beatles introduced it. And Neil Young, who lived in the Bay Area, because I love that sound, I would rent his sitar. And, you know, on a few occasions, just doing demos or recordings. But then, for one of my, I think it was an anniversary present for my wife, she went out and bought me electric sitar instead of renting it. I had my own, so that's where you saw that I would bring it in.
Yes, it was such a cool sound for the records, man.
It is, and it's funny. Is you mentioned Stevie. A lot of people don't know that's sitar on Science Hill Delivered. Ding, 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 ding. You know, but he used it with like more of a chordal thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I always loved that sound, but that's another thing I learned from Tom is using instruments that maybe you're doing pop music, you're doing R&B music, but you know, why not try something that's might bend the ear a little bit, you know, with the oboe, like on Bet You by Golly Wow, or the
Yes,
French horn on Didn't I Blow Your Mind? You know, the beauty of harps, of course, bells I use a lot, you know, I know.
I
I actually
love
got that
bells.
from you.
Yeah,
I think you use a lot of bells. So
I love it. It's very angelic. Brings the heaven, divine spirit.
yes,
Touches us. You know, we hear those beautiful bells.
yes.
I've always loved that. Always, always.
So
So
as far as today's music, you asked me about how do I feel about that. I mean, the whole landscape of the industry has changed, not just the music, but the industry. So, and then the fact that the average Joe can afford a 24 track studio, or it's not 24 track anymore, it's like a million tracks. You can buy it, you know, for, you know, 5, 6 grand. And, you know, you don't have to spend $500,000 on a big SSL. So the average Joe can have that at his house. But here's the thing: the average Joe is not that great. The average Joe can make music. They can put it out, you know, whether it's through what do they call it, CD Baby or TuneCore, and then the marketplace is glutted with a lot of sub-average music. So that's why it's harder to find the good music. Good music is, I think, it's just as prevalent, but it's got to dig through the crate, so to speak.
mhm.
And then as far as the chord change thing, I think because the average Joe doesn't need to learn. See, I grew up, I took theory at
Mhm.
age 11. I learned how to score music at age, I think, 12 or 13. Then, of course, studying all those records. But back then, you had to know your craft to be in it. You don't have to do that nowadays. So there's a lot of shortcuts. And I think there's too many people that don't learn not that you have to use everything that you've learned, but just to know it. It puts you in situations where if someone wants to all of a sudden, oh, no, that key's not good for me. Can you do it a whole step and a half up?
Mhm.
Just to even know what a whole step and a half is, you know, that shows you've done your homework. You know, I was working with someone, actually not working with, but a lady said, "Can you listen to some songs that my daughter wrote and use your experience and try and tell her and guide her? I think they're good, but I'm not a professional." So she came over and with her acoustic, no, it wasn't even an acoustic guitar, it was a ukulele.
Oh, okay.
You know, a lot of kids learn that. And she had nice lyrics, but I felt the melodies and the chord changes were not very good, not very adventurous, nothing there. So I told her what I felt. I said, you should try using different chords. And she said, Well, I used the chords from Guitar Center. They're shielded. I didn't know. I said, no, I'm talking about, the things that your fingering. She said, is that what that's called?
Hmm.
Chords? She
Hmm.
didn't know what a chord was.
Right.
Yet she wants to be a recording artist. So I was like, man, times have changed. If I didn't know what a chord was, I would get to first base. But I guess youngsters today are a little uneducated about things. So I look at it like a mission for myself and maybe others like yourself to educate, as they say.
Hmm. Hmm. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Taylor Swift. Do you listen to her music? Do you know about her music?
Yes.
What do you
Uh,
think? What do you feel?
well, first of all, I admire her expertise in business and marketing and branding. And I think she's a pretty decent songwriter, a pretty clever songwriter. And I think she's maybe not even knowing she's mastered the art of two or three chords turning into something that's very palatable.
Hmm.
But not the best singer in the world, but songwriter wise, I appreciate her. And I really
Hmm.
appreciate her business acumen and at the risk of sounding like I'm talking dogging somebody, how she got away from that Scooter Braun situation, her manager, and she turned it into something even bigger.
I see. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. I listen to a lot of the music to learn what this new demographic is all about. And I'm
Yeah,
very, very happy that she's really digging and digging and digging and putting out a lot of music and just trying
yeah,
her very best and going for it and performing in such large stadiums and making it happen. So, you know, congratulations, congratulations.
and that's another thing about her is and today's music,
Mhm.
you music industry, you don't have to just put out a single, then an album, or an album, then a single. You can do pretty much whatever you want. And she's showing, okay, I'm going to release a surprise album at midnight and with these videos and that, whatever you want. Anything goes nowadays.
Mhm. Beautiful. What did you learn from Prince?
Oh man, so much. I was a fan when the first album came out with the soft and wet and all that stuff. Of course, I didn't know he was going to be as big as he would be, but I learned that stick a lot of things from him. One thing uh, that I kind of had in my little career was perseverance.
Right.
And sticking to your guns. I mean, at a time when a new artist could never really produce their first album and play all the instruments, but he stuck to his guns. He said, "That's what I'm going to do," and
Mhm.
it lasted throughout his career. I was fortunate enough to meet him and hang with him right before the end of his life, untimely death, but really deep yet uh, personable guy. Very very down to earth. A lot of people didn't know that side of him. But he was on one hand misunderstood, but on the other hand, he was so loved. Yeah, great guy.
Beautiful, beautiful. Um, I have to thank you. You helped me on the song that Whitney didn't have a lot of love for. It's called Where Do Broken Hearts Go. In the tracking of that song, you helped me so much bring real love to that song. And I want
Mhm.
to thank you for that because that was the one song that I knew we really had to just dig deep on because it's
Yeah.
on her first hearing of it, it wasn't for her. Unless we made it for her, which we did.
So
So I
she
want to
must
thank you
have
for that.
heard. Did she hear the demo we
Yeah,
heard?
yeah.
Oh,
She had
okay.
the first demo that Clive had played for her, and just no, that's not for me. But Clive felt that if our team was to work on it, we could bring love to it. So that's what happened.
I could hear why she felt that way because the intro didn't have really anything. It just kind of went and played this gling, 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 and then it went right into it. Singer wasn't very passionate either, but I don't know. I think I learned that you got to catch them. It's the same today too. But that was what, 30, 40 years ago?
hmm
You got to catch them in the first 5 seconds. Maybe today's first 2 seconds, first
Yeah.
3 seconds.
Okay. Okay.
So, don't just hit something there that is leading up to something. Yeah, I did learn a lot of that from Tom Bell. He told me, okay, and his arrangements, same technology, I mean, same philosophy, hit them quick and get them before you get there. He said that song, Ready or Not, Here I Come by the Delphonics. He said, okay, think of what the lyrics saying. It's like, I'm gonna come, 1, 2, 3, 4, ready or not, here I come. I'm gonna come after you. And he said, the dun da da dun 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 is like the big bad wolf coming to get you. That's what he said.
Right.
And that's in the what, first 5 seconds. So that makes sense. So it doesn't have to be that dramatic, whatever the song calls for, but you got to get them some kind of way. Even
He
if
also, he also, Tom Bell, your partner, also said that he wanted to have the most key changes on the intro before a song. So
oh
what's that song?
okay, well, it's kind of interesting with him. A lot of his songs were dares. I mean, it kind of showed me that, man, these guys were just regular, homeboys like all of us. We're having fun making music. But Betcha by Golly Wow, the Stylistics version was, I guess some music professor said no song has ever changed keys 3 times and then come back to the same key in the middle of the song. Tom said, okay, I'm going to show this guy. I'm going to do it in the intro before it even gets to the book.
That's right.
Like, and then he did it.
Yeah.
And then somebody dared him kind of on maybe criticism of his too many chords and songs. I think the guy was Vince Montana, who used to play the vibes for Philly. Great producer also. He told Tom, man, you do too many chord changes. Man, I bet you never write a song with 3 chords or less in the whole song. So Tom said, okay, I'll show you. So he wrote, I'll Be Around. Says, dun, 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 the whole song.
Yeah.
But it's
Fantastic.
the arrangement that makes the song, and the vocals, of course, that make the song really build and have dramatics.
You really stepped into work with the Stylistics, a lot of those different artists that came out of that period, and then you kept reviving their careers. Tell me about your work with those artists, be it Stylistics and who else, the Temptations. Who else would you work with and kind of just really kind of infuse more life and more love in their career?
Thanks for acknowledging that. I think
Yes,
that's a
yes.
kind of like a staying in my lane kind of thing. There was a point in my career I was like, well, man, I got, hip hop is hot now. I gotta get into that, or trap music or whatever it is.
hmm
But then somebody told me, it was a wise publisher. And he said, look, man, the world revolves. Just stay what you do. It'll come right back to you. I
hmm
said, okay. So that's what I started doing, and mainly out of necessity, because it wasn't so much that I would pursue them. A lot of those artists knew that was kind of my style. So
Yes.
they would come to me. And then in the case of like the Stylistics, the Spinners, who else? A couple others that Tom worked with,
hmm
they knew that I worked with Tom. So they were like, hey, I think in one case, yeah, the Spinners, Tom had said, why don't you work with Preston? He said, I'm kind of retired, but why don't you work? So that's how that happened.
I see. Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good. And what about your solo career, your solo work? What's the most recent album that you're working on and putting out now, Preston?
Oh, well, I have an album that came out, I believe came out the same day as your last album.
Okay.
What was the name of it? Album? It's called Where I Live.
Where I live. Where I
And
live.
instead of just the moniker Preston Glass, I put it under a group name called Preston Glass and Chosen Family,
Yes.
because I'm not really a singer. So there's about 3 or 4 great singers that I use that are on here interpreting my music. And I'm planning on I won't call it a volume 2, but a next Preston Glass Chosen Family album right now.
Yes.
And it just like I mentioned earlier in this conversation, you can do whatever you want, really. You can put out music on your own. I happen to have a little small label
Yes.
that affords us to do that with a little more visibility, but gives us the freedom to kind of do the kind of music we want without a record company sitting there saying, it's got to be like this.
Right. Right. What's the company called?
My company is a joint venture with my company's called Platinum Garage Recordings, and you probably know David Nathan. He
Yes.
my partner.
David Nathan wrote an article on me way back in the late 70s on blues and soul out of the UK. And that's where I first met him, and I realized he was very passionate about Dionne Warwick and all the soul artists and all that, and just music in general. I was just taken by his passion, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're through Warner Music Group right now, but we're constantly, making moves.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, you're keeping it alive. You're always working, writing. You have a wonderful studio right there where you're sitting and where you're making your music, and I always look forward to hearing from you. And I really wanted to have you on today so that the world could just take a minute to kind of give you some love, put gas in the tank for all the things you've given to us through the years. You know, Corrado would send his love to you. Randy Jackson would send his love to you. Dave Frazier would send his love to you. Whitney Houston would send her love to you. Aretha Franklin would send her love to you. You know, our whole camp, all the folks we've known, from the Jermaine Stewarts on down, Kenny G, everybody would just send love to you. And so I'm just taking this moment to say we love you and we thank you. And we're eager for our futures and to make great music for our futures as well.
Thank you. And I love you, and I appreciate everything you've done for me and currently as well. You still inspire me not only through your music that you're doing, your foundation, the Narada Michael Foundation, shows me that you use your career and your gift, beyond yourself, but you try and help others. I've always tried to do that too, and you do it in such a wonderful way. I appreciate that.
Is there any message you have, Preston, for the world at this time, that something you want to get out in the world, something you want to say to everybody? If so, now's the time.
Well, I'm gonna just keep it on the music tip and say, and it may sound simple, but I just know what worked for me is just have belief in yourself, despite what anybody else tells you. If you really feel strongly about a certain song or certain style of music or certain vibe or something, stick to it. It'll come around and your day will come. I mean, look at the examples out there. I can tell you so many, but of course the Beatles are a great example. They got turned down by almost every record company there was. And so just stick to it, have perseverance, patience, and positivity. PPP.
I love it. I love it. And your wife, Gina, give her a shout out. Gina, for those who don't know in the world, is full of vitality, fire, determination, love, cooking, loves music, related to Larry Graham's family, Preston's wife. I'm really happy you guys are, with each other and always doing wonderful things. And just want to give you so much love, Preston. Yeah.
Much love to you, my brother.
Yeah. You also know we had a friend of ours, my dearest friend, Greg DeJoven, passed away. He was with me when I was working with you. So we give him a lot of love too.
He was very, very supportive.
Yes.
And we had a lot of conversations that inspired me as well. So,
yes. Okay, brother, let me know how I can be here for you. Come visit Tarpan when you can. I know you're coming in August, I think. Today's the first day of August. Maybe I'll see you this month later on.
Yes. All right.
Okay. God bless you. Love you. Hits.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to our All In podcast. If you enjoy the show, please follow, like, and subscribe on our socials. YouTube, Official Narada Instagram, Official Narada, one word, and all in with Narada Michael Walden on Apple Music, Spotify, and more. Thank you so very much.